Hello class, this is the walkthrough for essay assignment number 2, which is the hero's journey and battle royal. This essay will be assigned tomorrow and it will be due over spring break, so keep an eye out for those due dates and deadlines. So, just as before, what I want to show you are the different aspects of the assignment sheet. This one has a little bit more writing on it. And then to draw your attention, of course, to the thing that you will be focusing on, which is an answer to the essay prompt. So, this essay number 2, is worth the same amount as essay number 1, 15% of your total course grade. Consider this is a reminder of all the work you've already done and the things you already know. Ralph Ellison, author of The Invisible Man, used his short story, Battle Royal, as the first chapter in his novel. That is the short story that you have read for class this week. It is our primary source for essay number 2. It is the thing that we're going to be looking at through the lens of these other things, such as the 17 Stages chart, Joseph Campbell's Heroes chapter. Okay? You will be using those as your secondary sources, and through them you will look at and make a claim about Ellison's journey. Ellison's own struggle as an African American in the post-slavery South is largely represented in his novel and short story. Although Battle Royal is a coming-of-age story or an initiation story, it also fits with Joseph Campbell's theory about the hero's journey, or the one myth, the one journey, right? So be thinking of these things. And then we get to the essay prompt, which is how. Remember, lots of essay prompts start with the how question because your job as a writer is to show the workings of the story. Okay, and in particular, for this essay assignment, I want you to apply the stages of the hero's journey to where you see them in action in the short story Battle Royal. Okay, just as you did with the film review assignment, just as you did with Atalanta and the Brave film clip, you're doing the same thing now on a larger scale, and you're doing it with a written text. So how do the 17 stages of the monomyth reveal that the Invisible Man is on a hero's journey? Put another way, using the story Battle Royal, the 17 stages chart, and Campbell's chapter, develop a thesis that argues how Ellison's story is a hero's journey. So, can you argue that Ellison's story is not a hero's journey? If you were in English 1C, I would let you do that, but not at this stage in the game. So you must argue that our no-name character, he calls himself the Invisible Man, he's largely based on Ellison himself, is on a hero's journey. He's on a quest. And how do we begin? Well, here are some suggestions. So read the questions below to help you develop your argument thesis, okay, your argumentative thesis. And I've got 3 different areas to look at. Number 2 and number 3 are very similar. First, I always like to think about who the hero is, who the villains are, and who the allies are. And once I get those maybe written out on a list, I can talk about how the allies help the hero, how the villains impede the hero. I could talk about what the hero's quest is, and any of these could become a thesis. Next, Battle Royal takes place during the main stages of separation and initiation. Why is this? Most heroes' journeys are very heavy in the first 2 pie chart areas of that circle from the 17 stages chart. The separation stage and the initiation stage. Consider that. Think about it, and you may come up with a thesis. And then lastly, why do heroes have so many tests, so many trials and ordeals to endure? What are they supposed to learn from these? And of all of these, this is probably my favorite leading question, because if you were to make a claim about what it is that Ellison's character learns from his quest, that might very well answer how his story is a hero's journey. Okay, he's on such and such quest. And if you do decide to go with that, remember, I think his quest changes. I do not think his quest the entire time is merely to deliver his speech. For this essay, you're going to be using sources that I provided for you. And we did work this week on the CCC College Library Research Module. Using that information, you're going to find an additional source for your essay. So you must use Battle Royal, which is your primary source. It is the source you are looking at through the lens of the Hero's Journey chapter and the Hero's 17 Stages chart, both of which you have worked with already. In addition, you must find a source of your own. And I always tell students, don't make it a throwaway source. Some random quote from some famous person is not a source. That's a random quote from a famous person, okay? Your source should be one that you can quote from more than once. I would find a source that furthers my understanding of either the short story, Battle Royal, the writer, Ralph Ellison, or Joseph Campbell and the Hero's Journey. And there's lots of stuff that has been written about these authors as well that you could use. But you want to have something that helps you make your claim, that helps you argue your thesis. You don't just want a throwaway quote. Essay requirements are a little bit briefer. I have not outlined all of the grammar expectations, etc., because we've moved on from paper 1 to paper 2, which means that everything in the rubric for paper 1 is included in paper 2. This is a longer essay. It has to be at least 5 pages long, typed double-spaced. The essay has to have a works cited page, and we are going to be watching a lesson this week on works cited pages, okay, and the MLA 8th edition walkthrough on how to construct a works cited page. I'm also going to give you a little cheat sheet, and I have already formatted Battle Royal, Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey chapter, and the 17 Stages chart for you. And I will send that out in an announcement so that you can see what they look like. Make sure that you understand that your works cited page does not count as one of your pages of writing, okay? Short papers get docked and may lose revision options. The essay has to have direct quotes from all the sources. You should be using your quotes in tandem, okay? So if I want to show that the grandfather is the spiritual aide in the short story Battle Royal, I'm going to quote that section directly. And then I might pair that quote with a quote from Campbell and what he says about supernatural aides and spirit guides and mentors and what they mean to the traveler, to the hero. You want to make sure that you are properly formatting your quotes. Lots of people are forgetting to put parenthetical citations on the end of their quotations. Make sure that you read through. Format counts, okay? We will have a peer draft due at the end of the week, and you will need to submit a peer draft, okay, in order to get good and valuable feedback that you will be using from your peers in your discussion groups as well as from me, so that you can revise your essay in time to turn it in. Failure to submit a works cited page on the final draft of the essay will cost your paper a full letter grade. Now, on over the end of the week, when you're going to be turning this in, we will be on spring break. So you will be working on revising your essay over spring break, which is what all my face-to-face classes are doing as well. And you will also be working on reading the first half of the novel that we'll be using for our midterm. And I will make that available to you in the weekly module. So I would start with thinking about developing my argumentative thesis and showing how Ellison's story is a hero's journey. Remember, you won't be able to talk about all 17 stages. This isn't a 10-page paper. So you want to focus on the most obvious stages, but also the ones that have the most support for them. So is there supernatural aid? I'll let you decide that. Is there a belly of the whale? Of course. Right? Is there temptation? Yes. Is there a meeting of the goddess? I think so. So there are lots of aspects of the stages that are present in Battle Royal. It is up to you to focus on them in whichever way you choose. And again, develop a thesis that argues how this story, Battle Royal, is a hero's journey. Good luck.